At Squealing Pig Guitars, I've played and reviewed hundreds of rare boutique guitars. But no brand has quite grabbed my attention like this one. Built in the same city as my beloved Gibsons, Novo Guitars is redefining what a true high-end guitar should be. In today's video, I'm going to be breaking down why I wish I had a Novo guitar 10 years ago and why I plan to buy one in the very near future. So let's not dawdle any further and get straight into this Squealing Pig Guitars video. Hello guitarists, welcome back to Squealing Pig Guitars, the home of luxury drum machines here in Nottingham, England. My name is Keightley and welcome back to the channel. I hope you're having an amazing day, and if you're brand new to this channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button. This really helps us increase engagement on these videos, which means bigger and better videos in the future. In today's video, we're talking all about Novo Guitars, an awesome guitar company created by Dennis Fano, built out of Nashville. You may have seen a few Novos crop up on the channel, but really, my experience of Novo is still quite small. I've only played 3 Novos to my memory, and all of them have been the Ceres J model. And I have to say, I've been incredibly impressed with the craftsmanship and the blend of vintage specs with modern capabilities. For me, every single Novo that I've played has been a perfect instrument. And the Novo that we have in today is no exception to that rule. It's an absolute beauty, and I can't wait to show you later on in this video. I've added chapters on this video for your viewing pleasure, so if you'd like to skip a section, then just use the chapters down below. The main reason I wish I had a Novo 10 years ago is mainly because of the way that they play. Most of the time when you buy a high-end guitar, you're paying for the brand, the second-hand value of that brand, the way that the guitar looks, and thirdly, most of the time it's, the players that endorse the brand. That's why that brand is so expensive. But what I find with Novo is that so much of that money goes into the playability and the overall kind of sound of the instrument. Firstly, what I love is that they use torrefied pine on most of their guitar models, which means that the guitar is incredibly lightweight and resonant, which obviously lends itself to a lot more musical playing, and it makes me personally play more dynamically. I also love how all the guitars are relicked, only slightly, but they're slightly distressed, which makes them feel played in and like a vintage guitar. And finally, for me, they're the only brand that I've played in the last 10 years that I think successfully kind of blends the vintage feel with modern specs. For me, whenever you get a brand that kind of does both, I find it to be diluted. But for Novo Guitars, I think they've found their niche, and it's incredible. So yes, I wish 10 years ago I had one of these Ceres models or another model from the Novo Guitars lineup. The reason I think Novo Guitars works so well for me is that it really successfully blends that Fender feel and kind of construction, but with the Gibson quality that I love and the Gibson tone. So for me, it's the perfect middle ground between them two instruments. And as you guys know, I'm not a massive fan of how Fenders play. I love the way that they sound, they look. I love playing jazz masters and stuff like that, but I'm not a big fan of Strats and Tellys. So I found that Novo is that perfect middle ground of the offset body, that snappy playability, but with that kind of darker Gibson tone. So that is why I wish I had one of these Novo guitars 10 years ago, as I believe it brings out another part of my playing. It makes me play differently to when I'm playing a Gibson. I just love them so much, and I really wish I had one. So here's the guitar that we're reviewing in today's video, and this is a Novo Guitars Ceres H2 Custom in the Silver Fox finish. It's an absolute stunning finish that changes from like a grey, silver, almost to a green in certain lights, and it goes all over the guitar. Obviously got this kind of open pore finish, which just looks so luscious indeed. This is definitely more of a Gibson focused Novo, as we have the PAF Fralin pickups. So to start off with, we have a beautiful piece of Hakume for the body body. If you don't know what akume is, basically it's a wood that has very similar properties to mahogany. So it actually looks very similar to mahogany, and it's very, very lightweight. But the main difference is it's a hell of a lot lighter than mahogany. So it has the same tonal and kind of the same feel and look as mahogany, but it's a lot lighter, which is a lot better for Novo guitars. We then have a torrefied maple neck and a rosewood fingerboard. Torrefied basically means that it's been roasted, meaning that they've pulled out all the moisture, so it's a very stable neck profile. We have the silver fox finish, as I mentioned, which is this kind of open pore finish. You can feel the grain of the wood. It's also been slightly distressed in areas, which I think looks really cool. And it's one of the main reasons I really like Novo guitars, is that every single guitar feels like a decades-old classic. Of course, it's got that iconic headstock. I always feel like the Novo headstock looks a little bit like a shoe. And we've got that massive logo there that looks really cool. Of course, we've got a bone nut, 22 frets, 24.75 inch scale length on this one, with the kind of Gibson style bridge and stop tailpiece, one volume, one tone with the nice radio dials, and the Fralin PAF pickups. Then we have the Clouson style tuners, and we have the rounded C neck profile on this one. The way that this guitar sits is so perfect for me. I love the offset body. As it sits on my lap, it's a nice lightweight guitar, and it just has such a nice kind of ping in the room. And better still, it stays in tune so nicely thanks to the torrefied materials and just the overall build quality. So now that we've gone over the specs, let's go to the tone demonstration of this beautiful Novo Ceres H2 model. In the intro to today's video, I did my own interpretation of Take On Me, the very popular track, so I thought I'd start off with that in today's tone demo. I was on Capo on 2, and I'm using the 2-watt Bloomfield drive on the EQ2 lead gain channel, and then I have the Flammer FSO2 in a loop. So let's hear this guitar in action. So starting off on the neck pickup, full volume, full tone. Starting off, we have that classic PAF tone. It's nice and warm, but it still has a lot of clarity to it, especially when playing the more convoluted chord voicing. Ditch the capo now, so let's hear some blues on that neck pickup. Now I'm in the middle position, which is the neck and the bridge, so let's hear it. suppose the first thing I'd like to bring your attention to is just how dynamic these Novo guitars are. Obviously, I can't convey how this guitar feels other than words, I guess, and obviously it feels amazing. But in terms of that dynamic range, you have to be able to hear that on YouTube, how when I pull back from the chord, you get almost like a clean tone, and then pushing into the amp, you get a lot more gain. And I know lots of guitars do that, but this Novo guitar does it in a really nice measured way, which makes it very fun for playing. So that's amazing. Now we're on to the bridge pickup. So far I've played quite a lot of clean stuff, but these guitars can also rock up, as you'll hear now. So on the bridge pickup, there's definitely a bit more of a snap on that pickup than your average like Gibson PAF. It's probably because of the construction being a bolt-on, but it still has that rich kind of AC/DC sound. Such a rich tone, and as you add a tube screamer to that, it's just gonna get even better. As you bring down the tone control, you get that nice woman tone. Another question people often ask with Novo guitars is if they can do high gain tones. So I've dialed in my kind of, it's my patch 5 of my Kemper, which is a really heavy kind of overdriven pedal. So let's hear some metal riffs. So it definitely can do metal, and this guitar is an absolute all-rounder. It's got a great clean tone, great crunch tone, and it's got an amazing metal tone. So I guess the last thing to do is play some fuzz tones. I'm going to talk a little bit about the entire model range from Novo and what they offer. The most famous one is probably the Ceres J model, which is the guitar model that we've had in 3 times here at Squealing Pig. It's really Novo's flagship offset, obviously taking inspiration from the Jazzmaster. The most conventional way that they're spec'd is with the Mastery tremolos, which are so good, and they have the Fralin P90 pickups. We then have the Volta, which is a very cool, almost Firebird looking instrument. It's an edgy offset with P90s or humbuckers. It has contours for comfort, and it's definitely a bit of a stage guitar. These guitars look awesome. We then have the Mirrors J, which is a guitar that I would love to own in the future. It's essentially Novo's answer to a semi-hollow thin line guitar. It still has the same offset body, but obviously it's partially hollow. It has the cat scratch F-hole and it has a tummy contour, and I think that this just looks incredible. You then have the Solace shape, which is basically their answer to the Gibson Les Paul Jr., typically spec with one P90 pickup and a cool finish. We then have the Idris model, which is basically a Fender Stratocaster, but with that more offset design and thicker body. For me, I'd love to try one of these guitars. I've never played one, unfortunately, but I bet they just have a little bit more bass end than a Fender Stratocaster. If you've had any experience with the Volta, Solace, or the Idris, let me know in the comments section below. I'd love to hear about your experience with Novo guitars. So guys, it's the end of this Squealing Pig Guitars video. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, make sure to leave a thumbs up down below. Let me know in the comment section below, what do you think of Novo guitars? And if you have any experience with them, let me know down below. And if you're new to the channel, make sure to smash that subscribe button. This really helps us increase engagement on these videos, which means we can make bigger and better guitar videos for you. So make sure to hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell to be notified when we make a new video. In today's video, I'm going to rate this Novo Guitars Ceres a 9.6 out of 10. In my opinion, it's one of the best playing guitars I've reviewed on this channel. The fretboard edges are nicely rolled over, the frets are at a perfect level, the rosewood fingerboard's nice and dark, the finish looks incredible, but most importantly, this guitar is so easy to play. It really responds to chords nicely, and it's so dynamic, and thanks to the torrefied pine, it's just so resonant and light, and really, you have to pick one of these guitars up yourself to appreciate how beautiful they are. For me, especially playing a lot of fingerstyle stuff and more neo-soul stuff now, I found that the Novo guitars really helps with that side of my playing, but if you do want to rock it up, they definitely have the capability to do that. So yeah, I'm going to give this guitar a 9.6 out of 10 today. In terms of the model that I would go for personally with the Novo guitars, I'm not sure if I'd go for the Ceres. I'd probably go for a Midras J, as I mentioned previously, with P90 pickups and the Mastery tremolo. I've seen a few in like a green color, which would match my Green Widow. So I'm very tempted by that guitar. So maybe, yeah, I'd love to get one of them guitars eventually for my own personal collection. So let me know down below, what do you think of the Midras J? But as I mentioned previously, that is the end of this Squealing Pig Guitars video. I really hope you've enjoyed, guys. Thank you so much for your continued support. I really, really appreciate it. And I hope you're enjoying the videos from this brand new studio space. That is the end of the video, so I'll see you tomorrow for another one. But until then, keep rocking, guys. I'll see you soon.